So it seems my Zheji video was pretty well received, and considering Xiangli Yao is going to be given out for free from an event in 1.2, I figured that making a video about him was the logical next step. So this is Xiangli Yao's kit explained. First off, there's going to be his basic attacks. As usual, we ignored these. They're gonna have literally no use, and, you know, come on, even some supports will use them. But that gets us to the skill. The skill is just a hit of electro damage. Really? Where's the substance? Where's the kit? Oh, it's in his ult. Okay, got it. Clearly, this is the main meat of his kit, being his Resonance Liberation. He does a big nuke of damage, and then he changes his normal attacks. He also obtains free stacks, which are called hypercubes, which are used by his Forte Circuit. When they're all used up, the ultimate will end. His dodge attack and skill are also converted during his ultimate state. Wait, this all seems very familiar. Must be nothing. Let's keep going. His Forte Circuit starts off with a Forte gauge as usual, and when full, skill is replaced with a stronger skill that counts as ultimate damage. This Forte gauge is built up with his regular basics and regular skill. But guess what? You can all ignore everything about the Forte Circuit so far, because the real meat comes after this. After using either of his skills during ultimate, you can press basic again to do a plunge attack that does extra damage, counting as ultimate damage. And during your ultimate, he has a different Forte gauge. This is up to 5 points. You gain 1 point from basic 1, 2 from basic 2 and 3, 2 from his unenhanced skill again, and then 3 from the enhanced plunge. When you're at 5 stacks, skill becomes stronger and does ultimate damage. This will consume a hypercube, so you can do it up to 3 times. Depending on if the skill resets cooldown every time it changes, it will either be intro, ultimate, basic 3, enhanced skill, plunge, basic 2, enhanced skill, plunge, basic 2, enhanced skill, plunge, outro. Or intro, skill, ult, skill, plunge, enhanced skill, plunge, enhanced skill, plunge, skill, plunge, enhanced skill, plunge. Jesus Christ. I see the first possibility as more realistic, although I do think that your skill cooldown will reset when you ult, but after that it will follow the regular 5-second cooldown. With this assumption, it will be intro, skill, ult, basic 3, enhanced skill, plunge, basic 2, enhanced skill, plunge, basic 2, enhanced skill, plunge, outro. The rest of his kit is a lot simpler. His intro just does damage, his outro makes him do damage when allies do basic attacks up to 3 times, inherent skill 1 gives 15% electro damage bonus, and then inherent skill 2 gives him interruption resistance during the duration of his ultimate. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Also join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. But let's get back into it. First of all, I would like to mention that Xiangli Yao is literally a carbon copy of Karo, and there is no way to avoid this comparison. They're both electro damage dealers that use their ultimate to transform the way their normal attacks and their dodge counters work. Their normals both charge up a Forte gauge up to 5 times that then allows them to do a special attack, which scales off of their Forte Circuit. And this special attack can be done at most 3 times every rotation. They're literally just the exact same unit. But which one of them is better? Assuming they're both on the same investment, it is really close. This is because the standard banner Broadblade is really good on Karo, but not so much with Xiangli and the Gauntlets. The standard banner Gauntlets buff skill damage and basic damage, which is not at all what Xiangli focuses on, but I still recommend Xiangli Yao over Karo, and it's for a very simple reason. Convenience. Karo's ultimate is based on a duration, which is 11 seconds, and this means that if you are not able to use your full rotation within his ult window, you don't get his free Death Messenger heavy attacks, which are the majority of his damage output, especially if you have to dodge a lot against something like a boss. Meanwhile, Xiangli Yao's only restriction is having free hypercubes, which means that he is able to guarantee using free skills, while Karo cannot guarantee a third Death Messenger. He also has interruption resistance on his second inherent skill, which is very convenient, especially against a boss. And it's not just that, you're also able to vertically invest into him more, because he still has his signature weapon that he can equip, while Karo's best weapon is a standard banner weapon. Speaking of investing into your Xiangli Yao, you need to be able to invest into a team for him. And let's start out with his first teammate, Yinlin. This one is very obvious. Most of Xiangli Yao's damage is considered liberation damage, while all of it is obviously electro damage. And Yinlin buffs liberation damage and electro damage on her outro skill by 25% and 20% respectively. So Yinlin is a very obvious option for buffing your Xiangli Yao. But that's not it, because Yinlin herself also has very good personal damage. She is among the highest personal damage of all the sub-DPS characters. And if you don't have her, your options become a lot more scarce. You could go with Jian Shin, but her field time is way too long. This makes her incredibly awkward to use, and if you choose to ignore her outro skill, then she just kind of does nothing for your team. Then you're also left with the I have short field time support characters, which is mainly Sanhua. And the reason you want to use these characters is because they do a good amount of damage in a very short amount of time. The aforementioned Sanhua is also one of the best swap cancelling characters. So if Xiangli Yao ends up being able to swap cancel quite easily, Sanhua gains even more value than if you are not able to swap cancel. You can also use Mortefi, because if you put Static Mist on Mortefi, he is able to buff your attack. Same goes for when you put the Moonlight Cloud set on him and the Impermanence Heron Echo. So Mortefi is just able to buff a pretty good amount. But I will have to point out that none of these characters even come close to Yinlin. You can also use Zheji for Moonlight Clouds and damage, but it's kinda wasted. For your last slot, you can just use the standard Verena or Baiji. But now let's look at his signature weapon. They have a 587 base attack and 24.6 crit rate. It's the first crit 5-star gauntlets, so that's already a pretty good start. On the passive, it gives you 12% all-type damage bonus, and when you use your ultimate, you gain 48% damage bonus for the ultimate. The duration of this buff can be extended by using your skill. It is an incredible weapon for Xiangli Yao, and a lot better than the next best thing, which would be the Battle Pass weapon at Refinement 5. Now let's look at his sequences. His sequence 1 increases attack by 20% for 18 seconds after using his intro skill. A guaranteed 20% attack is pretty solid. His S2 increases his crit damage by 30% after using your skill or ultimate, which is again very solid for just being guaranteed stats. His S3, after ult, the next 5 skills have 60-50% damage bonus for 24 seconds. What? These numbers are very specific, so I'm just gonna assume it's a mistranslation or an error of some kind. If not, it's a very powerful sequence. His S4 increases the team's ultimate damage by 25% for 30 seconds after he uses his own ultimate. Pretty solid, but Yinlin does mainly skill damage and not ult, so it could be better. S5 increases your outro skill multiplier by 170%, which is good since you can trigger it up to 3 times. It also doubles the multiplier of his ult. Not sure if it's just the initial hit or also the normal attacks, but either way it's pretty good. And then S6 doubles the multiplier of his special skill while in the ult state. This is an incredibly powerful S6, but it's not the best in the game. I would still give that to Jinshi. I think it's really funny that Xiangli Yao's kit is essentially a carbon copy of Kulcharo's while adding more convenience. They really did my boy dirty. If you already have Kulcharo built and you don't really care about Xiangli Yao, you don't really need to build him, especially if you don't have a signature. This assumes that you can tolerate Kulcharo's inconveniences, but I'm assuming you can since you managed to get this far with him. Be sure to comment what you think of Xiangli Yao, and also join my Discord and follow my Twitter. Also, subscribe and like the video considering you got to the end. That'll be all from me. Peace.